So this is going to be a video on how to clean and service a PS5. We're going to clean the fan, we're going to take out the motherboard, clean the vents underneath and see if there's any dry spots on the CPU and try and sort that out as well. So the first thing you have to do is we're going to remove this top cover. That's the cover with the disk drive on it, or if you're setting the PS4 up, it's the right side of it. So we're going to lift this corner here and this corner where the disk drive is, or you could have a digital version, so it's the corner where the buttons are, and push towards the buttons. So pushing that way, I'm going to take that off. Now that's not too bad so far, actually this doesn't look too bad on the outside, but we'll see what the inside's like. Now because I'm going to have to do it further on the repair, I'm just going to get it out of the way now. I'm going to remove this other cover. Now to remove this cover, it's the same thing, down where the buttons are, you lift that corner and the opposite corner where the PS logo is and push down towards the buttons. So just like that. Now a little bit of dust or debris here, nothing major. You can see where it just gathers up around the fan there. But yeah, we'll see what we're like when we're inside. Now so we're going to turn this back around to this side here. Next thing you take off is a fin. Just lift that, that pops right off. And we're going to remove this SSD cover. It's a Phillips screw. Phillips one here will do. So just lift that off. It's the same screw they use in the PS4s too, which I think is kind of cool, to hold in the hard drives on those. So we just lift that off and put that away. Now we're going to need a Torx 8 screw for this. I'll take the fan out first, just so there's 4 screws holding this in. These 4 screws have a different length. Well, 2 of them are the same, but they're not all the same as each other. So you can just set them somewhere. You can get a wee magnetic mat or a wee organizer, just so you remember what way to put them in. So just remove that. Now we can remove this plastic cover here. It's just stuck down with adhesive, so you can just lift that off. The fan is connected to a cable here, so you can just disconnect that. You don't want to break the wire, so if it's not easy to take out, you can use tweezers and just kind of set them in there and try and grab it with those and lift them out. Or a combination of the both there. So that's that. Now this fan has got a wee layer of dust on it, but it's nothing bad, it's nothing too bad. We'll check on the inside, because the customer did say this PS5 was getting loud on them, so we'll just see what we're dealing with when we're inside. So I can put that fan to one side there. Now a Torx 8 screw, we have a lot of screws around the edges here. One of them is actually hidden underneath this wee warranty void sticker. So we'll just go ahead and lift that up for now. So we're going to remove all these. And if you get mixed up on what way to put them back in, I'll just show you when I have them out the size difference. They're pretty easy to remember what way to put them in when you can see them all lined up. So now that I have them all out, if I just show you this magnetic mat, you can see the size is tallest on the left, second tallest, and then the 3 shorter ones this way. Now that applies to both sides, top and bottom. So you have the tallest one here, the next tallest, and then 3 short ones. Here you have the tallest in this corner, and then this corner of the disk drive is the next tallest. Straight down here is short one, short one, short one. And then you have a little silver screw. It goes into the disk drive, but you can see the hole in there. You can see the silver of the metal underneath. So the silver goes into the silver. That's the way I like to remember it anyway. I think it's handier to remember it that way. Then you can bunch them all together and you don't have to waste much space on your magnetic mat. So next thing we need to do is remove this cable here. It's actually a disk drive cable. So we'll take that out as well and put it to the side. And then we can just lift up this cover. Make sure not to lift the disk drive with it because it's still connected to the board. So lift up the cover. And again, not too bad. A little bit of dust, but not too bad. So this is the cable that's still connecting the disk drive to the board. So when you push down, there's a little metal tab here. You have to kind of push down on that and then you can lift that cable away. You can leave it attached to the board, but I just don't like the thought of it being there in case I catch on it and tear it. So I'm just going to put it over to the side here as well. Now we can lift that disk drive away completely. Well, I see there's a bit of dirt in that actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this because you see that felt cover there? See the way you can see the inside there, you shouldn't, that felt cover is jammed underneath something there, so I'm going to get rid of that dirt and try and sort that out now. Not too sure what that was, but it was sticky. Give that a wee clean with isopropyl alcohol here. Now we're just going to see if we can lift that felt cover out. There we go. See the way it's fully covered now. I'm going to give that another wee clean with a toothbrush here just to get rid of the last wee bit of that, whatever it was. There, that looks better now. So we can put that disk drive aside as well. Now the first thing you want to do is disconnect these wee things. You have your wireless cables and your wee cable for the lights here. And you have more cables up here. Now you don't need to remember exactly where these go because it should say on the board. RB there is black, or white, RW is white, FW white, and FB here black, so it tells you the colors of them there. And you can just peel these away here like that. Okay, so we have a lot of screws here. Again, they're Torx 8 screws, but we have, I'm not exactly sure how many there is, but I'm going to speed through this here and just save you having to watch me take all these out. So that's all the silver screws out, and there's just one black screw down here at the base of the console to come out as well. So now that that's, just before we take this off, actually the wee vent there, depending on how dusty this console is, that can get some dust trapped in there too, so you can give that a wee clean if it needs to be. Now another wee cable here to remove as well. It's actually the power button and the eject button up there. So we're going to take this heat shield off now. Now it's stuck on with thermal pads. They've created a kind of a bond over time, so you'll want to kind of pry this off. Generally around this area is where it's going to be tough. So just I get a wee plastic pry tool and kind of try and pry up. It'll feel like you're actually going to break something here, but it's just the bond is quite secure with thermal pads. See, like that, you just hear it there now. And it's just those thermal pads, or thermal paste, sorry, that's actually paste, not a pad. That's what's holding this down. So the next thing we need to do is disconnect this cable here. That's again like the disk drive cable. Press the metal tab down and pull back and take that out of there. Now you'll see the arrows on the board here. There's a wee copper arrow pointing to this hole and one here. I removed those screws earlier with the heat shield, but if you didn't do that, you can remove those two now. Those arrows are just telling you where in this motherboard the two screws go. So I need to remove this clamp for the APU. Use a Phillips 1 screw. Now I don't like to remove one screw entirely on its own. I like to loosen them one a bit at a time, just because I don't want all the pressure to come off one side just before the other side. I want to kind of loosen off evenly. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but it's just the way I've been doing it, and I think it's better safe than sorry. Now I'm going to remove this motherboard next. Again, there'll be bonds created here with thermal paste, thermal pads and liquid metal. So it's going to feel like it's stuck down, but it's just that that bond has been created. So I'm going to loosen up this side first as well, because it's quite stuck down here. Now normally I don't have to do this, but because it's so tight, I'm going to remove this screw and this little spacer here, just to give it motherboard. Yeah, see, that was a problem. Normally it doesn't hold these down, but it just seemed to be the case in this one. So it lifts up there, and then you need to watch around here because that's going to be a tight spot too. So you need to kind of pry up around that and get those prongs out, just like that. Now lift this straight up because there's liquid metal on this and you don't want that spreading around. But you see this bond that was created with the thermal paste and the pads here. that was holding everything down along with these two prongs here. So that doesn't look too bad for dry spots. Actually, that looks quite good. I'm just going to kind of apply that liquid metal that seeped off onto it, and same with that. So you see it's kind of falling down to the bottom here. I'm just going to use a plastic spudger and just kind of put it back on, spread it around. Now I've seen some people use a syringe to kind of suck it up from where it's seeped off and then reapply it here, but I don't have that. I don't have a syringe for that. I've never seen the need. Well, it could be better. I don't know. I've never had the need for it myself, but everyone has their own techniques. I just do it this way. And I haven't had anyone come back to me with PS5s overheating or shutting off or anything like that. Alright, so it's looking a bit better. And now I'll do the motherboard itself here. Just kind of try and drag it away from where it's seeped down there. And pull it up towards the top. There, it's looking a lot better too. So there's no dry spots in the CPU really, it wasn't too bad. Now to get this metal base off and clean the vents underneath, we're going to go back to our Torx 8 screw. And underneath here, there's a screw here and a screw here holding on that metal base. So I'm going to take these off. I'm going to hold it this way because I don't want that metal base falling off on its own and spreading that liquid metal where it shouldn't be. That's two screws off, and now we can just carefully lift this out without catching any cables. Like see here, a bit of tape, just going to take that off. Take this off like that. Now this isn't too bad at all dust wise. This actually looks good. I don't know why they say the console will be getting louder overheating. I can't see this being the reason, so there must be something else going on this PS5, but it's still a good way to show you how to clean it regardless. So the first thing I do is I clean out this part first, and then we can start cleaning everything and rebuilding it back in. You can use a hoover for this here, or I like to use a wee air brush gun like that there. So you can just, clean it out like that. But I'm going to do that away from the desk because I don't want the dust over everything. So I'll do that and then I'll come back. So that's that nice and clean. Focusing particularly on the vents here on the power supply unit because you don't want that overheating. So the next thing I'm going to clean is the part we took off here, the metal part. Going to clean the vents and everything here, get all the dust out of there to stop that overheating and trapping hot air. So that's done. I'm going to put that back in now as well, making sure not to catch any cables. There we go. I'm just going to reattach those two screws to hold us into place. So now we can put this motherboard back on. It doesn't need to clean at all. Actually, it's not dusty. It's actually in good condition. So just gonna line this up and just drop it straight down. You line up in particular these parts here, the prongs, because they need to plug into place. And remove all the cables and just, there you go, push down. You hear it click into place there. So I'll just reattach these wee screws here for the where the SSD goes, the wee spacer here, and then I'll reattach the APU clamp. Again, when tightening, I do the same as when I'm listening, just screw it, tighten it a bit at a time on each screw. I just don't want to put mad pressure on one side altogether and then with the other side no pressure. There we go. Now reattach this cable here. To do that you have to hold down the metal tab to reattach it as well. It doesn't just push in on its own. Now we can reattach this heat shield as well. Oops a daisy, I think I hit that camera holder. So reattach this. Now I'm going to reattach all these screws, but I'm not going to show that. I'm going to speed that up because it's quite boring to watch. But just something handy to know when you're reattaching the screws, if you're not sure which holes to put them in. You'll see the example, that hole there, and this hole, there's 2 lines on each side of that hole. That's telling you not to put a screw in there. Same for that one. There's two lines there, kind of etched into the metal. Don't put a screw in there. And any one that you see with 2 lines means a screw doesn't go in there. So for example, that one as well, no screw goes in there. Put screws in all the other holes. And when it's on the board itself, there's a wee copper arrow pointing towards it. So that's where you put the screws in there. So I'm just going to fly through that now. Now with that done, we can reattach these cables here. There's a wee ribbon cable down here for the lights, the blue and white lights you see. And then we can reattach the black one to the connector labeled RB, the white one to the cable RW, and then we have these 2 over here we can feed back down and reattach those. And so the black one here goes to FB and the white one goes to FW. Now we get our disk drive again and we can set that on top. You'll see that, oops, that's the wrong way. You'll see that it lines up with screw holes that have no screws in them, like the ones marked with the wee lines on each side. So just line it up with those holes, and then we can use this, we can reattach this wee ribbon cable to this too. So push down the connector on the metal tab and push that in, and the exact same on the other side. Now it's time to put this black cover back on, but I'm just going to give it a wee quick clean as well because there's a wee bit of dust on that. So that goes back on. Oops. Now we can reattach the screws for this too, and if you remember the way I said, just small ones, 3 small ones to the right, and then the larger, or a longer one I should say, and then the longest on the left, and the silver screw into the disk drive. So I'm just going to speed through that as well. Now this fan's not too bad, but again I'm just going to give it a wee quick clean just to get that wee thin layer of dust off it. So we can put the fan back in and reattach the cable on that as well. And just feed it under that wee plastic notch there. Now time for the cover back on there. And if you remember what way the screws go on, great, but if you don't, just make sure to put them in the right order. So there's these 2 here which are identical length, and they're a bit narrower than other screws. They go on the left, and then the tallest screw goes in the bottom right, shortest screw in the top right. So that's the order the screws in the fan go back in, and they're Torx 8 screws. Now with that done, we can put this plastic cover back on. And this little part here, I'm just going to give everything a dust now as well. I'm going to give the outside of this here a wee quick blast with the air gun and this here and the covers and everything, and then I'm going to reassemble it here. So I'm just going to go and do that quickly now. Okay, so I've given these a dust and I've given them a wipe with isopropyl alcohol and a microfiber cloth just to clean off some of that kind of stain you get around the edges where it's exposed to dust and air and all that. So I'm just going to attach this now to the bottom side. So you just line it up and just push it into place. And the top side, same thing. Just line it up and push it into place. So that is, let me get that lighting a bit better actually. That's that cleaned and done there now. That's how you clean and service a PS5. I'm going to actually give around the edges a bit of a wipe here as well after the video. But yeah, that one wasn't too bad, but normally you get big layers of dust on the vent at the very bottom, which is where it really traps the heat. But this one was grand, like I said, but hopefully you learned something from that, and you can still follow along if your PS5 is a bit dustier. You might just need to clean it a bit along the way. If you took off some covers, a lot of dust in there, you can give that a wee clean before you put it all aside and take more apart. You know, you can clean as you go. But I'm going to end the video there now anyway, and thank you for watching.